There's a blizzard outside. So the children are home today. They may come in, they may not. But one thing's for sure. They're going to make a heck of a lot of racket. Because it's time for the show now. And whenever it's time for the show, the children inevitably decide to start screaming. Hope you're all having a great, great day. I'm in New York where there's a blizzard. I may go outside later. I always try to go outside in the blizzard with, gym clothes on. You can't hear me. Hello, hello. You should be able to hear me. Oh, goodness. Can anyone hear me? Can anyone hear me? It's me. What does it's you mean? That's not very descriptive. Oh, it is the person who said that they couldn't hear me. It's their fault. Good. I'm going to tell you a little secret about the internet and technology. It's very important. Whenever something's not working, it's almost always the user's error. So, whenever something's not working, first things first, make sure you did not screw something up. Again, I'm not talking to Barbie particularly here, but I learned this lesson because, a lot of people think that if something is not going right in the world, that it must be somebody else's fault. Because why could it possibly be your fault, right? And especially with things relating to technology, usually it's just operator error. I have problems with operator error all the time. I use a program called GoToWebinar to host webinars. I have a webinar right after this, actually. And sometimes it doesn't work. Half the time it's my fault. Maybe more. Sometimes I go to record a video and the thing doesn't record. And then I'm like, why in the world didn't this thing record? You want to know why? Because I didn't click the record button. Turns out if you don't click the record button, it's not going to function properly. Operator error. Now, to be fair, maybe they could have designed the record button to be like really, really obvious or something, but it's usually operator error. All right, let's see. What's the best way to study range breakdown? I'm not even sure what you're referring to specifically. It's a big question. Today, we're not talking about this. This is not an Ask Me Anything. We will get to an Ask Me Anything at some point in the future. Today we're going to be discussing things that my students do that other people do not that results in them thriving. Before we get to that, though, we're giving away, perhaps we're giving away $5,500. We're having a Super Bowl giveaway. Check that out, pokercoaching.com/Super Bowl giveaway. If you guess the final score of the game, you get a month of Poker Coaching Premium. If you guess the final score of all 4 quarters correctly, which will be difficult, you get $5,500, or more correctly, your fair share of $5,500. If 4 people get it, you'll split $5,500. If 1 person gets it, you'll get $5,500. Straight cash just for you. Check it out, pokercoaching.com/Super Bowl giveaway. Did I play on ACR recently in the Venom? Absolutely not. It's always funny, actually. Last year, they sent players a double-sided coin, because what's more rigged than a double-sided coin? This year, they sent them a magic 8-ball that said things like, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? Who knows if the site will function? Who knows if it's rigged, etc., etc. It's almost like they're making jokes out of themselves. But, I guess that's a reasonable way for some people to practice deflection to some extent, right? You're here in the chat says you got that stupid coin. I didn't get one. Kind of wish I got a double-sided coin from one of the unlicensed, unregulated sites, but I did not. All right, let's see. What are we talking about? Okay, things my students do that other poker players do not that results in them thriving. Number 1, they show up and do the work. If you do not show up and do the work, inevitably, you will not thrive. All you have to do to win at poker, 3 things really. Find a game you can beat, play it a lot, and practice proper bankroll management. My students do all 3 of these things as well. But number 2 there, play it a lot. Most people expect abnormally great results from poker despite the fact that they don't actually play all that much. I mean, I'm actually in kind of this situation now because I have a wife and 2 kids and pokercoaching.com, all of you to help. And that results in me, under COVID restrictions, being able to play about half a day per week. I play Sunday afternoons, and that's it. That's not a lot of volume. You're going to have a lot of swings in terms of time if you don't put in lots of volume. And even when I play, I still put in like 20 tournaments or something in a half a day, which is, a lot of volume for that half of a day. But 20 tournaments per week, 80 tournaments per month is like nothing, right? And you're going to have infinite variance. And if you're going to have infinite variance in terms of time, you have to recognize and accept that. But the way you actually make it as a professional poker player long term is putting in a ton of volume. Back when I was, before COVID, before I had a wife and 2 kids, before like when I wanted to go out there and like make money all the time, I was literally playing all the time. 18 to 21, I played, 100 hours a week. A lot. I played a lot, 18 to 21. Also, whenever I was 21 to, 30, I played pretty solid 3 weeks per month of live/online poker. And then I'd be home / chilling for about a week per month. And that's a lot of grinding. And that's how you accumulate wealth from volume-based games like poker. Let's see. What sites are we playing on? Various ones. We don't want to talk about those, though. Let's see. How many cash game hands is a lot? Again, you have to realize, what is a lot? You got to realize that you make some amount of money per hand that is dealt, right? Or per tournament that you play. If you play, let's say you make $10 per tournament. If you play 10 tournaments a day, and you make $10 per tournament, you're going to make $100 per day on average. Is that good for you or bad for you? I don't know. I don't know your situation, right? But let's say you play cash game hands. Let's say you play cash games and you make 10 cents per hand, which is certainly doable at medium stakes online. Let's say you make 10 cents per hand, and you're going to play 2 tables for an hour a day. Let's say you're going to put in 100 hands per day, and you make 10 cents per hand. That means you're going to make $10 per day because you're not putting in volume. What if you instead decide to play 16 tables at a time that lets you get in, 800 hands per hour, and you're going to do that for 8 hours per day? That's 6,400 hands per day. That's $640 per day. So you get to choose. Exact same skill set. Well, one player knows how to multi-table way better. But exact same skill set in terms of actual player-based skills. One player wins $640 per day. The other player wins $10 per day. And it's purely up to you. That's the great thing about poker. To some extent, until you get to the medium and high stakes, you can put in about as much volume as you want to, as long as you pick relatively popular games like No Limit Hold'em cash games or No Limit Hold'em tournaments, right? If you want to play lesser known games like, only sit and goes or only satellites or only PKO tournaments or Limit Hold'em or 7-card stud or whatever, then maybe you have a volume issue where you may not be able to play as much as you want. But the great thing about small and medium stakes is you can put in really as much volume as you feel inclined to put in, and it really is just a straight math problem. You put in X amount of time with X win rate, you win X amount of dollars. Pure and simple. And my students, first thing I teach them, very, very basic equation, find a game you can beat, make sure you have an edge, make sure you make money per hand that you play. Next, play it a lot, and after that, make sure you're properly bankrolled for the game that you play. Poker is dead. Well, poker is dead if you don't want to study and you don't want to learn and you want to complain about bad luck. Certainly the casinos do make money from poker. That should be obvious. Most businesses make money from the business they're in. Otherwise, they would not be operating. There are definitely ways to make money from poker outside of only playing poker. As mentioned here, certainly you can stream. That said, streamers don't make a whole lot of money. I know how much streamers make. And most people stream because they like streaming and interacting with the community. Unless you are one of the absolute top streamers, you're making $1,000 per month or something, which is not great money. People stream because they like building a following. They like having people hang out with them all day, because poker can be a relatively solitary life if you make it be that way. But no, you can definitely make money from poker. Last year I made $150K playing poker half a day per week. It's I'm not even playing all that much. I'm not even the best poker player in the world, right? Find a game you can beat, play it a lot, practice proper bankroll management. Streamers are paid by viewer per hour. Streamers can make money in all sorts of ways. I'll tell all the streamers a secret here. You want a secret, streamers? You want to make good money? Don't try to get paid based on ads /subscriptions / etc. Instead, figure out a way to add immense value to your followers, and they'll be happy to pay you way more than $2.50 per month. Like pokercoaching.com, right? We add immense value to our viewers here, and they are happy, well, some of them are happy, to pay, $20, $30, $40, $100 per month for additional access to much, much higher level content, right? I mean, look, you got to realize if you're streaming, you get $2.50 per subscription. You don't really make a whole lot on ads. You make almost nothing per ads unless you have a load of people watching, like a lot. Like nobody has that. So, let's say you get 1,000 subscribers. 1,000, that's a lot. I have like 30, okay? Let's say you make get 1,000 subscribers on Twitch times $2.50 per month. You're making $2,500 per month. And that's if you're like hardcore streaming, okay? Anyway. Okay, so what do the students do? They show up and they do the work. They actually do the study. They make a point to study, right? They don't just complain about bad luck and want to go watch a stream and have a beer and call that studying. No. They get in there and they diligently study. I've done my best to make it as easy for you as possible to study No Limit Texas Hold'em. And if you're not making use of it, I mean, it's kind of on you at this point. We have loads and loads of very, very high-level content available for you. Just the other day, we did a webinar with Jaffe, literally the #1 tournament player in the world a year or two ago, and he's been, got rich, took it easy, getting back in the streets now, currently crushing it. And Michael Acevedo, he wrote the book Modern Poker Theory. These two guys did a webinar together where they went through one of Jaffe, one of his many recent deep runs, going through it from a GTO point of view, exploitative point of view, etc. And that's quite powerful to have literally two of the best poker players in the world collaborating, talking together, answering the viewer questions, kind of like we're doing right here to some extent, live for all of you. And we just do that all the time at pokercoaching.com. If you're not making use of that, you're just not making good use of it. There's certainly other ways to go about studying, right? You can run simulations on your own. You can run equities. You can review your hand histories, find holes in your game, etc. So you can do all sorts of stuff. But in my opinion, the easiest way to learn, especially until you get to the really, really high levels, is to study all of the common scenarios. And that's what we have at pokercoaching.com. Matt Affleck, for the last, year and a half at Poker Coaching, has been going through just common spots, right? Like under the gun raises, you're in the big blind, you call. Flop comes, you check the continuation bet. What do we do with our range, right? And that's it. That's a common spot. You sure better know how to play. Otherwise, you're going to be leaking money all over the place. And all of the common spots. Button raises, you call big blinds. Under the gun raises, button 3 bets. Under the gun calls, flop comes, they bet. What do you do, right? All of these spots are covered by Matt Affleck at Poker Coaching, and that's so that you don't have any holes in your game, right? So anyway, make sure you check that out. Is it true that sites pay for all the players' buy-ins? That was happening, gosh, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. Not anymore. Maybe there's like a few really, really big streamers who get their buy-ins paid. So look, how much do I want to talk to you about these things? I don't even know if I'm supposed to talk to you about these things. Most Twitch streamers have an affiliate deal where they get paid X amount of money from the rake that you, the viewer, pay on the site. So let's say they get you to sign up to go play on a poker site. Let's say you play and you pay $100 in rake. Maybe the streamer gets, 20% of it, 30% of it, something like that. So you pay $100 to the site. Let's say all of your money goes to rake, which it probably won't, but that means the streamer will get $30 off that. That said, some streamers have a deal where they just get paid a straight salary, right? Some streamers have a makeup deal. I know that's what a previously mentioned Shady Poker site offers their pros. They give them basically a backing deal because their pros don't have any money to play. At least some of them don't. So they give them a backing deal. That way, the site doesn't actually lose all that much money because presumably the stake key is at least like only minus 30% ROI or something. So it's not like they're paying them the full amount. They're paying them 20, 30, 40% of the amount. So they can say, ooh, we're going to give you a $100,000 deal where like they basically extend them a $100,000 line of credit. And maybe they get down 100K eventually playing the medium stakes that the sites offer. But, they're going to win back some, right? So basically the pro ends up not getting paid much money, unless they're, of course, good. But the site doesn't actually have to pay the full amount to get that sponsorship. Okay? What else do we have? Are there any adjustments when there's a big blind ante versus regular ante? Not a ton. Not a ton. Basically the same game. The same amount of money's in the pot to begin with. Let's see. Dylan says, thank you. Good, glad to hear it. A pro who doesn't have any money is a red flag. Yeah, well, so I'm actually going to disagree with you here in terms of pro. Poker sites are incentivized to get in front of new viewers, new players, new potential players who in turn can go sign up to their site and play on their site, right? So let's presume there is a comedian who is very, very funny. People love the comedian. Comedian doesn't really play poker very well. Comedian goose off, screws around. Poker site agrees to pay the comedian's buy-ins to stream on Twitch or make YouTube videos, right? So now we have this random comedian who people love, who's going to get 1 million viewers every time they stream. Poker site pays them X amount of dollars, right? Maybe they give them money and buy-ins. Who knows what to give them? And they know that they're going to get an additional 10,000 players. You're not watching that comedian with the presumption that this comedian's good at poker. You're watching this comedian with the presumption that this guy is goofing off and it's going to be funny, right? And a lot of streamers have that. I don't know what the right word is. That's how they operate, right? They're not streaming to try to teach you to play poker well, even if they act like it. They're streaming to try to entertain you. And if they entertain you enough, in theory, you're going to want to go play with them on that poker site, right? So you, as the consumer, have to recognize that all the people who are making strategy content or streaming or whatever, they are not streaming to educate you. They are streaming to entertain you, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. People love to be entertained. People love to be entertained. And, that's probably a spot where I fail. I recognize I'm not the most entertaining, but that's not my shtick here, as Win by TKO says. My shtick is not to entertain you so much. My shtick is to educate you. And it's fine. Attracts a different customer, right? All right. So anyway, having these people getting a backing deal is not a bad thing, I don't think. Like, a lot of people look at it and say, oh, this guy's not good at poker. Why does he have some sort of a deal? Because he adds value, or she adds value, right? If you add value, you're probably going to be employed. If you don't add value, you're probably not going to be employed, right? But again, the term pro is often misused here, okay? Just because you have a deal with some site does not mean you are a good player. A lot of people think that sites should only sponsor pros, but that's not how it works. Sites sponsor people who can get in front of new audiences, right? I mean, look at what PokerStar's done, right? They basically gotten rid of every single pro they have. Almost everyone. They used to have 100, now they have like 2. And those are probably just on the tail end of long deals or something. But then they're hiring like athletes, right? What in the world does a football player or a comedian have to do with playing poker? And the answer is nothing, really, right? But they can get in front of a new audience. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. All right. How much money should you keep on a site? Probably the minimum. You can tell if a poker stream is entertainment or educational, depending on if they show their stack in terms of big blinds or chips. It's actually probably a pretty good read, right? It's actually a very good read. Besides in PKO tournaments, right? Someone asked about PKO content earlier, by the way. We have PKO content on poker coaching. Make sure you check that out. Okay. What else do my students do that other people do not? Besides showing up, doing the work, being actually very, very dedicated. They really want to better their lives through poker. A lot of people don't want to necessarily better their lives through poker. They want to have a hobby. And to be fair, hobbies do better your life in terms of they give you more enjoyment. But usually you do not approach a hobby from the point of view of, I'm going to do everything in my power to make money from this hobby, right? Like, let's say you want to become a fisherman, right? You're going to go buy a boat, You're going to buy a bunch of rods and reels. You're going to buy bait and tackle and gasoline for your boat. You're going to go spend all day fishing. Maybe you catch some fish, maybe you don't. But out the door, it costs you like $300 or $400 a day to go fishing if you account for the fact you had to buy a boat and all of this. Okay? So let's presume we got to spend $300 to go fishing. There's like no way a random person is going to go catch $300 worth of fish on average. It's just not going to happen. And if you do, you're probably not going to come home and sell your fish and profit on this excursion. And if you do, let's say you catch $400 worth of fish, you still spent all day doing it. So fine, we know for the vast majority of people who go fishing, they are not fishing because they are trying to make money. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with this. You're allowed to have hobbies. You should have hobbies. But most people approach poker from the point of view of, I think I want to try to make money from this, but I'm actually not going to do anything about it. And that results in them having a hobby. But they think, or at least they secretly want it to be something that they can make money from. And you got to realize that they're kind of different goals to some extent. Not necessarily, but to some extent. You either need to have the goal of this is going to be a fun, entertaining hobby, or this is going to be something I'm going to dedicate myself to and actively strive to win, right? Let's see what Mark here says. It says you take it seriously, want to make money, but it isn't the number one priority. Yeah, so getting better is a slower process. Yeah, exactly, right? But see, you have sat down and thought that out, Mark. Most people who go to play poker, they go to the casino with the idea of I am going to win at this. Because most people don't go to the casino, well, I don't know, maybe this isn't true. I don't think most people go to the casino with $300 in their pocket thinking, all right, I'm going to go to the casino and I'm going to torch this money. I don't think most people think that. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but I don't think they do. Maybe, this is just pure speculation, maybe like slot machine players go with this mental attitude because they know, like you just like always lose the slot machines unless you spike really hard, right? So maybe they go there with, all right, I'm going to go take my $300. I'm probably going to lose. Maybe I win $10,000 every once in a while. Maybe that's how they think. But I think most people think they're going to have a decent chance to win. Otherwise, they wouldn't play, especially cash game players, right? And that results in their expectations being very different than what they're actually presenting and what they're preparing for in reality. And that leads to disgruntlement and anger and bitterness, and sadness and whatnot. Because whenever you think you're going to get something and then you get something very, very different, that leads to disgruntlement, right? And this is often why a lot of poker players end up kind of bitter. Because they think they're going to show up and win all the money, and then they just show up and get crushed. And that's tough. That's tough, right? So my students realize we are going to devote ourselves to this, whether it be as a recreational or as a professional, whatever you want to call it. Like Mark here. Mark shows up, he studies, he does the work, and he gets better at the game, right? He's going to get better at a slower rate than someone who's devoting their whole life to it. And he recognizes that. He's cool with that. He knows he's not going to go buy into a $10,000 tournament tomorrow and have a very good shot at it, right? So he's realistic. And you need to make sure you're realistic about things like this. My students realize that there are like prerequisites to being anywhere near decent. We have a question here. If we're just getting started, what should we do? You should go through the Master the Fundamentals course. It's completely free. Check it out, pokercoaching.com/fundamentals. You probably already know a lot of the stuff in it. If you've already played poker, skip the first few parts. But you want to make sure that you are playing well, right? And if you're not playing well, that's going to result in you straight up losing. What else do my students do? Well, if you're a tournament or cash game player, either one, you go through the tournament or cash game masterclass. Again, that's sort of like next prerequisite. You have to realize at this point today, if you actually want to win at poker, there are to some extent prerequisites you need to go through. Maybe not necessarily through Jonathan Little, but through some sort of other educational process. There are various training sites out there. I try to consolidate everything and make it easy for you and interactive so that it sticks the first time, so you don't have to go through it over and over and over and over again. But you want to make sure you learn the fundamentals. So yeah, 3, 2, 1 click says, just like music, you have to learn the fundamentals. You have to know what chords are. You have to know how to play your scales, right? These are just kind of basics and building blocks that you must succeed. You must master before you can, start doing better. You have to learn about equities and ranges and pot odds and all this stuff. And eventually that kind of thing becomes second nature, right? Like, I played piano as a kid, a decent amount. Wasn't great or anything, but we went to a rental house recently that had a piano, and I could sit down and play a few songs. And it's because I know the fundamentals, right? I remember my chords, I remember my scales, because I had to do it over and over again, and you can put things together. We got the kids a ukulele a year or two ago, and I'd never played is a piano a string instrument? I never played a guitar type instrument in my life, but I could sit down and play Itsy Bitsy Spider in like 1 second, despite never playing a guitar in my life. Why? Because I understand the fundamentals, right? And poker's kind of similar to some extent, where if you know the fundamentals, you're going to be way better off than those who don't. And you have to realize most people who spend a lot of time playing poker either studied the fundamentals and learned them away from the table, or they learned them through trial and error by actively learning. So anyway, you want to make sure that you are actively learning with the quizzes. Piano is a string instrument. It's a string instrument, percussion instrument, what do we call it? Is it a string instrument? You're laughing like obviously it's a string instrument or obviously it's not. What's it classified as? Can someone actually Google this? What is a piano classified as? A string instrument? Percussion instrument? A piano? Someone let me know what a piano is. Because I don't know. You think you know what kind of instrument you're playing on. For those who don't know, you know how the piano is like this box? Inside the box there's a little felt hammer that hits a string. And the string is what you're hearing whenever you hit a piano key. Okay? A chordophone? Sure. So anyway, there's a little hammer inside a piano that hits a string, and the string makes noise. Okay? Kieran Wood was laughing at me, saying, "Piano's a string instrument, what are you talking about?" Turns out, Kieran Wood admits that he's wrong. Good job, good work. That's all you can do. Some of you are saying it's string, some is percussion. Who knows? Who cares? It is what it is. It is a string instrument, just like you said. Well, good. Maybe I do know a thing or two. All right. What else do the students do? They engage with the community. Wikipedia says piano is an acoustic stringed musical instrument. There you go. Y'all may not know this. I was very good at playing the trumpet as a kid. Pretty good at piano. Apparently I played violin when I was 4 years old. I don't remember that at all. I can put together Itsy Bitsy Spider and Hey Jude on a guitar. Well, a ukulele. What else do we have? Do I have anything else here? Not a lot. Not a lot else. All right. I can probably play drums really good too, but I never formally played the drums. Okay. Okay. The students actively engage with the community and help others succeed. I think this is something that I hope what I have done in my past has rubbed off on the students and on the poker coaching community, because I would certainly not be where I am today without the help of many, many people who came before me who were happy to help me get better at poker in a way that was actually not going to benefit them at all and could perhaps even hurt them a little bit because, I may be playing their games and taking a little bit of their edge. But they knew that if they helped me, I would help other people who wanted to work hard to succeed at their hobby, right? And maybe potentially a career. And we have a study group at pokercoaching.com run by Louis Philippe. Also, a few other people help out with that, so thanks to all of them for that. And they get together and they study and they work hard to improve their skills, right? And they actively learn together, and that results in everybody rising up. Everybody getting a little bit better. Right? And if everybody gets a little bit better every study session, over time, you're going to be a whole lot better than people who do not have this type of thing around them. So make sure you get a good study group around you. And if you're sitting there thinking, oh man, I don't have any friends. I have no poker friends, right? I just show up and play. Maybe I watch a video here and there. If that's what you do, I'm not going to say you're not doing it right, but I can pretty much guarantee you almost every top pro out there has some sort of study group around them. And quite often it started as a very formal study group in the beginning. Like in the beginning, I had a very formal study group of other like-minded poker players who wanted the same things I did. And, eventually the group goes their own way, but still, you make connections around the poker community, right? I have this book back here, Excelling at Tough No Limit Hold'em. Here, I'll show it to you. These people I don't know if I've ever even been in the same room with most of these people. You see? Excelling at tough no-limit hold'em games. We have Giraffe Ganger here, poker coach and coach. John Van Fleet, very strong player. Cavalito, just crossed $1 million in tournament winnings online. People saying you can't win it online. Just crossed $1 million in winnings. Rob Tinian won the Sunday Million twice. All of these people here, even if they don't necessarily know, because I don't like actively talk poker with many of these people. Some of them I do, but not many. These sort of like de facto form a study group for me, right? I get to learn from the work that these players have done, and that results in me becoming a lot better. And I turn around and I give it to all of you. I literally hand it off to you for almost no money. I mean, think about the value you are getting here, where you get to learn from, how many people's in this thing? From literally 10 of the best poker players, not counting myself. You get 10 of the best poker players giving you in-depth information, right? You see we have all sorts of solver images, equity images, all sorts of stuff in this book. This is just there. One of many. You see all these books back here? All of these books back here, either I wrote or had a heavy hand in making. And that is me consolidating everything that I know and everything I can get a hold of and giving it to all of you, to the people who are studious and want to improve their skills. And even if you have literally no one around you, that can make a study group. Whenever I first started playing poker, I lived in Florida, where poker was not legal at all back in 2002, 2003, 2004. And there were a few people who played like, tiny for fun private games. But like, they weren't good poker players, right? So I had to find my own study group. You have to get out there. You have to do a little bit of work. It's not just going to fall in your lap. I think a lot of people think that success is just going to fall in your lap if you, bumble around long enough. But it won't. You have to do the work. And I've done my best to make it as easy for you as I possibly can, but it still does require a little bit of effort on your end. For example, you got to get the book. You got to read the book. Take some time to read a book. It's 400-something pages, right? I mean, 400-page book takes some time to get through. I get it. If you don't like reading, I made an audiobook for you, right? I mean, what more do you want from me? I sat in a little cubicle about an eighth the size of my tiny office and read for 40 hours. I'm not very good at reading. I can barely get a sentence out of my mouth, as you can tell. But I sat there for 40 hours and made sure that we read every single sentence in that book well. And, happy to do it. It's not fun. Community service, let's call it. You all like this show? If you like the show, do me a favor. Click the like button. Click the subscribe button. I would appreciate it. What else do the students do? They take notes at the table. And they find ways to answer the problems that they have. So many people in all aspects of life have problems, and then they don't do the research to solve the problem. For example, is a piano a string instrument or a percussion instrument or something else? You could just ponder it, you could think about it, you could guess, or you can do a little bit of diligence. Type, what is a piano? What type of instrument is a piano? In your Google, and it'll come right up, right? You gotta do like 1 second of effort, and now you know the answer. It takes 1 second. So instead of just like not knowing the answer and guessing and assuming that you're right, approach most things in life with the assumption that you don't know what you're doing. Because, I hate to break it to you, in basically all aspects of everything, you don't know what you're doing. Tough thing for a lot of people to wrap their heads around, because a lot of people think or naturally presume that they are doing the right thing, or the thing that makes good logical sense. But very often you're looking at the world through your very, very, very constricted, specific point of view, right? Like, for example, Jonathan Little wakes up every day, deals with his kids, comes sits in this office all day, deals with his kids, goes to bed. That's a very different life than someone who wakes up, goes out, works in the blizzard, has to take a train 2 hours each way to get to work, right? It's like a completely different life. And if I think that that person is living the same life as me, or they think I'm living the same life as them, that's going to result in people having different thought processes, different mindsets, and generally just like lacking empathy overall. Realize we are all trying to do our best to some extent. Right? We have a child out here running around and screaming. He thinks right now that running around and screaming is the optimal thing to do. Right? And I can't be mad at him for thinking that's the optimal thing to do, or it's just like you gotta realize that you gotta have some empathy, right? And you have to be able to look at the world through other people's eyes. So anyway, you need to be able to solve your problems instead of just thinking that you know the right answer to something. Like, for example, say under the gun raises and you're on the button with king 7 suited. Instead of thinking, oh, easy call, or oh, easy 3-bet, or oh, easy fold. Do some work to find it. Now, it's way more difficult to find the answer to poker questions than it is things that are very easily Googleable, right? But I've done my best to make a resource for you that answers all of your questions. At pokercoaching.com, check it out, pokercoaching.com/New Year. Sale ended last night, but I tell them to keep it open for the little coffee viewers. So hey, check it out, pokercoaching.com/New Year to get a nice discount. That'll be getting closed up in probably about an hour. But I've done my best there to answer all of the questions that you could possibly have. We have a lot of coaches, and it is a big effort to make sure that they are all covering different topics. And whenever you, the students, send me an email, I have a document of things I need to make videos about, right? And I go through and answer literally every question that you all send me, ideally in a way that other people can learn from it. Because I don't want to spend my 30 minutes making a video just for one person. I'd rather spend my 30 minutes making a video for the thousands of people who I know are going to go through and watch it, right? And that allows me to make good use of my time. It allows you to make good use of your time answering your specific question. And, there you go. So, for example, say you don't know what to do with king 7 suited against under the gun raise. Pull up the charts. We've made charts. I spent many tens of thousands of dollars getting these silly charts together. It's been a hassle. It's been a headache. But they're coming along. We now have cash game charts, tournament charts with ante, right? Shallow stacks, deep stacks, all sort of stuff. And that's just included in the Poker Coaching Premium membership. I saw the other day another site selling fewer charts than we offer for more money. Marketing's a heck of a thing. Could you imagine going to a site with the exact same charts, but half of them, and paying more money for it? It makes literally no sense to me. But hey, what can you do? So anyway, get in there, study, find the answers to your problems. People ask questions like, what do I do when I am check min raised on the turn, holding top pair, right? That's a very specific question. But we've probably answered it somewhere along the way, right? And that goes a long way to ensuring that all of your questions are answered. I tried to essentially make an encyclopedia where you don't have to guess, right? If you don't have to guess, you just know the answer. It becomes easy, right? And fortunately, we live in a world where most things are easily answerable. You want to make sure the information you're getting is from a good source. For example, a while back, well, still exists, there's a push-fold app on the market that charges people. We have a free one. Our free one has accurate ranges. The one that people pay for has inaccurate ranges. So we have people out here who are paying for inaccurate information. You got to make sure that whatever you are actually studying, whatever you're actually learning from, is a good, qualified source. Now, something else a lot of people think they can do properly is assess what a good quality source is. I've been playing around on SharkScope recently. This is a site where you can look up people's results online. And there are some people who I kind of presumed must be good poker players, and they're just down infinite. And that's good for me, because if I think these people are good poker players, usually these are the poker players who put you in tough spots. They're the loose, aggressive, battling players. Not all of them, but some of them. Some of these loose, aggressive, battling players are just down loads. And you only remember the times where they really put you in a tough spot, right? Again, I'm not saying all loose, aggressive players are down lows. I'm saying some of them, right? But if you see that some of these players are actually down lows when you think, oh my gosh, this player's good, they always have my number. Maybe they do have your number randomly, right? They just happen to be able to have the nuts against you 6 times in a row. And you think, wow, they're just really good. But no, it turns out they're just torching their money against everyone, and you just happen to be the one they're running hot against. And that kind of thing is enlightening, right? So now you know whenever that person is giving poker information, maybe you don't necessarily give it so much credit, right? And that's why I've done my best to hire people who are confirmed crushers, right? Because I want to make sure that we are giving you good, high quality information. We just don't hire anybody off the street. There's a lot of training sites out there that have many coaches or coaches with just straight up bad results. And that's not how we operate. I try to keep a good eye on everything that we are actually putting out. All right, let's see. Don't use push-fold charts when there are ICM considerations. I hope you read the instructions to what we have on our site. That's one of the first things it says. It's important to read the instructions. You want to read the instructions. Very, 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 very important. Let's see. Okay, what else do the students do? Well, so this is similar to finding answers to their questions. They find people who can help them answer the questions that they cannot answer themselves. It is okay to ask for help. Now, you don't want to necessarily be someone who is like overly needy, but it's okay to ask for help. And ideally, you find someone out there who can answer your questions. Now, look, let's get real. I do my best to answer emails that come in, and every way you all try to talk to me. But it's a lot. I get hundreds of emails a day, okay? And that results in me spending a decent amount of time on this, and I cannot answer everything. But there are plenty of people out there who are just as good at poker as me, or perhaps better, who do not get hundreds of emails per day. So you want to find people who are incentivized to help you. Kind of like the poker coaching study group, right? There you go. Nice, solid group of good winning poker players at the small, medium, and high stakes. These are people who you can learn from, and they often don't get 100 emails per day. So you can actively get help quickly and easily, right? And you want to make sure that you have someone you can ask questions to. Now, if you want to get Jonathan Little's pure attention for some amount of time per week, you can hire Jonathan Little or any of the other poker coaching coaches, most of them, as a private coach. Okay? So, you want to make sure that you have access to the information you need, because I realize that all of the answers to poker are like kind of difficult, kind of intricate, right? Like, for example, what do you do with King 7 suited against an under the gun raise? It's like not a simple question, right? It looks like a simple question, but it's not a simple question. And if you don't know where to get the answer from it, or get the answer, and you don't know how to get the answer, you need to find someone who can help you. And there are a lot of poker players out there who are available to help you. It's just a matter of you doing the work. Let's say you don't have any money. You want to get a private coach, but you don't have any money. You don't have any money. How do you get a private coach? Well, this is not going to work for everyone, but you could consider bartering. For example, I have a few people who work at pokercoaching.com on a very part-time basis. They help with just small things. But we have a poker questions group in our Slack channel where they can ask me any poker question they want, and I always answer it pretty quickly. Why? Because they are adding immense value to my business, right? They're helping me. Turns out when you really help somebody else, they're happy to turn around and help you, right? So, hello. So you want to make sure that you are getting in there and actively adding value to others. If you add value to others, again, like at some point they get to be like on the scale of they can't help everybody who adds value because everybody's trying to add value, right? Jonathan Little's not at that point yet where everybody's trying to add value, so therefore it becomes a little bit easy to try to add value to people. Come here, James. You want to say hello?
What are you doing?
Come here, Thomas. You want to say hello to the children? Hello. What are you doing? Are you going outside?
Yeah, we're going outside.
Yeah.
Are you guys wearing your snow clothes?
Yeah.
Can you say hello, everybody?
Hello, Vana.
Who?
Vana.
Vana. Who's Vana?
Vana.
All right, say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, see you. Have fun. Have fun in the snow. Oh my goodness. Snow day! Yeah, exactly. Okay, so anyway, find someone who can answer your questions. The easy way to do that is to hire a private coach. But I realize everybody does not have the resources, which is why I have a lot of interactive things at poker coaching that are kind of like having a private coach. If you go through all the quizzes at pokercoaching.com, it's over 1,000 of them, it's as if you have a private coach answering your question every single betting round. And just doing that over and over and over and over and over again is going to go a long way to improving your skills. So I've done my best to make an interactive coach for you, or a virtual coach for you, for those who do not have many hundreds of dollars to spend on private coaching, right? What else do the students do? Well, we mentioned this earlier. They help others, right? If you cannot explain what you know to someone else in a manner that a 6-year-old person could understand it, you probably do not know it as well as you think you know it. You need to be able to explain what you know to others. If you can explain what you know to others, you have almost certainly fully comprehended and you understand what you are discussing and what you are doing, right? So, the process of helping others is not just beneficial for the other person, it's also beneficial for you, right? Whenever I write a giant book, I'm currently working on one, I'm editing it, it's 650 pages. That's probably a little bit too much. 650-page guide on tournament poker. And I have to go through and explain literally every single thing that's going to come up in no-limit hold'em tournaments at and away from the table, right? And that takes effort. It takes, skill to some extent to be able to go through and get your thoughts onto paper in a way that explains the concept to others, right? And helping others, in turn, helps you. And that goes a long way to improving you long term. You cannot find the Super Bowl giveaway. There's a URL right down here below, pokercoaching.com/Super Bowl giveaway. Can you all see that on the screen? I know you can on Instagram. If you can't see it on Instagram, sorry, Instagram. But there you go, pokercoaching.com/Super Bowl giveaway. You can see it. Okay, yeah, we're potentially giving away $5,500 if you guess the score of all 4 quarters of the Super Bowl. If you guess the ending score correctly, you get a month of Poker Coaching Premium for free. All right. You can see it on YouTube. Good. What else did the students do? We got to wrap it up here soon. I have a webinar starting in a few minutes. They think long term. A lot of people get it in their heads that other people are winning. I see some other people winning. Therefore, I should be winning. If I do what they're doing, I should be able to achieve what they're achieving pretty much immediately. And I hate to break it to you, but that's not how most things in life work. Every overnight success you see, maybe not every, 99% of overnight successes you see have actually been grinding at it hard for many, many years. At pretty much everything. And it's important to recognize that you got to get in there and you have to do the work. You have to realize, I'm going to work today and probably not necessarily see many results. Or if I do see results, they're going to be small. For example, let's say you're starting with a $100 bankroll. Let's say your win rate goes from going from $1 per hour to $1.10 per hour. 10% increase. Not a lot. Actually, it is a lot. Because in the long term, if you continue putting in good volume, you're going to win substantially more than someone who does not put in the study. And that's going to result in you winning way more money long term, just by increasing your ROI by 10% or whatever it is. Someone actually emailed me the other day that they were skeptical about trying poker coaching, but I give 100% money back guarantee. If you don't like it, I do not want or deserve your money. Again, you can get a discount for another few hours at pokercoaching.com/New Year. They said that they just told me they were winning at like something like $25 per hour before they signed up. Now they're winning at like $33 per hour 2 months later. And to be fair, this was already a good mid-stakes poker player, right? Already winning a decent amount of money, putting in good volume. They did some study, they worked hard, and that resulted in them getting a higher win rate. Now, maybe a short-term variance, maybe not, who knows? But they've seen a noticeable increase over 100,000 hands to their EV big blind per 100 and to their actual win rate, right? And that's very valuable, right? To be able to make 50% more money just by putting in a lot of study for a few months. And that's actually a pretty quick success, right? And certainly there are other quick successes like Blas Zerjau, right? Young guy, he's cashed for about $2.5 million over the last 2 years. Bought in for like almost nothing. He seems to be really good at satelliting in every time. Satelliting into a 10K for $100, turning it into $1 million and change, standard stuff. That's like, look, if you're 19 years old, you've already cashed for 20, or I guess he's not 19, he's like 20 something. If you're 23 years old and you've cashed for a few $1,000,000 playing online, you're probably running a little bit hotter than most. And there's nothing wrong with running hot. Some people are going to run hot. But it turns out if you're skilled and you run hot, that's when things really, really go well. And every year there are a few people who are really skilled and they run really hot and they just absolutely crush it. All right. So anyway, you need to think long term. Whenever you approach poker, don't approach poker from the point of view of, I am going to play poker to try to make a lot of money immediately, and if I don't, I'm going to be mad and I'm going to quit. Approach poker from the point of view of, I enjoy playing poker. I would love to develop this skill that could be a game changer for me, a life-changing thing for me, and put in the time and volume required to get good at it. You're not going to be great at any mathematical, technical game quickly. It just doesn't happen. And you got to think long term. You got to plant seeds. And this happens in all aspects of life, right? Like, say you're overweight and in bad shape right now, and you want to get in good shape. You know right now that you're not going to go get in great shape if you start working out today. You're not going to be in great shape tomorrow. You're going to be really sore tomorrow. And I'm not going to say studying poker is exactly like that, but it's kind of like if you have not studied poker ever, or if you haven't studied poker in a few years, you're like an out of shape person. Your poker mind is out of shape. You got to get it in shape, and you're not going to get in shape overnight. The great thing about poker, though, is that if you figure out the things that you're doing wrong, you can fix those leaks very, very quickly. And you can see results much faster in things like poker, but you still got to get in shape. So you got to do the work. You have to think long term, do the work, put in the reps, and get better. How do you put in volume without your wife getting mad at you? Well, find time where your wife wants to do something on her own. And if she doesn't want to do anything on her own ever, well, then have her play poker with you. Lots of couples play poker together. Present it to your significant other. Let them know that it is important to you. And let them know that you want to spend X amount of time on this. Make rules that you follow. One of my students, very professional person, a lawyer, has lots of stuff going on in his life. He has a deal with his wife where every year she gets to go to a few conventions that are her hobby. She has a hobby. She gets to go to 4 conventions a year. He gets to go play 4 major poker tournaments per year. And they're cool with it. He says, all right, I'm going to go play my poker tournament on this date. His wife signs off on it. They're good to go. Right? But it's important to realize in relationships that, say you have a job, you work 9 to 5, you make decent money, you're good to go. Okay? But now you decide you want to start playing poker. And you tell your wife, you know what I'm going to start doing? I'm going to start spending all of my nights and weekends away from you studying and playing poker. And I'm still going to work my job. Do you think that your significant other thought they were signing up for you spending all of their free time away from them whenever you got married? Unless, of course, you were already doing this. You got to think the answer is no, right? And to be fair, say you were already doing this, but it turns out you're just not all that great at poker, and you've been losing for the last 10 years. It's probably wise for your significant other to say,
Daddy?
yes, sir.
Dom is wearing your... He's wearing that.
She's wearing what? My jacket?
No.
My boots?
Mm,
What word?
your boots. Like you go outside?
Yeah.
He's wearing yours. Come over here.
Dalma's wearing my clothes. Okay, that's fine.
Come over here.
Come here, say goodbye.
Come over here.
She's wearing my pants. That's so funny. She's saying hello. That's my mouse. She's wearing my pants. Oh, James thought that was funny. She's wearing my ski pants. All right. Do the work. Do the work. And love the work. So many people get it in their minds that the work has to be hard, miserable, difficult, trying. And to be fair, it's not always going to be amazingly easy. But you got to enjoy what you do. You only have one life to live. Please make sure you do not squander your opportunities. Rest in peace, headphone users, indeed. Oh, James gets such joy out of such silly things, like somebody else wearing somebody else's pants. All right, have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Thanks for being here. Make the most of it. Again, we have a Super Bowl giveaway right now. PokerCoaching.com/Super Bowl giveaway. Get in there for your chance to win your share of $5,500 cash. Also, we have a New Year sale. It's ending very soon. PokerCoaching.com/New Year. Make the most of your time. I love you all. If you enjoyed this, click the like button, click subscribe. Have a great, great day.